Thank you very much. We welcome our viewers all around the world, the Gambia mainly, people following us on social media. We welcome them to Teledal on another episode of The Fix. Every Friday evening, we do come here and discuss issues of current affairs, come up with solutions that are obviously, commendable, and also recommendations to the state, to the people of this country. And we do come together and bring people also here who are actually well known to the press, well known to the country, who have also contributed in one way or the other to the country's development. Today we've got very much respectable, distinguished guests that are in the building today, and we look forward to having obviously a very fruitful discussion, a discussion that will lead the country to the next level. Of course, this is Teledal, and every week we do come here and discuss, and as we always have it for our viewers, we let them know that every week we have a particular theme, and we do actually discuss issues of national development. And this week we will talking about loyalty and truth, and can Gambian politicians speak honesty, and why it works, the challenges that the culture of the politics that we have, silence on obviously hypocrisy and the oppositionism that people talk about, direct attack in one way or the other on national development. The key angles that we'll be talking about is the political truth and fear of exclusion and integrity in the public life of the daily, the Gambian activity. We will be back right after this break to introduce our viewers and set the ball rolling. Thank you for joining us at Teledal on another fantastic episode of The Fix. Thank you very much. Like I said in the introduction, we will be speaking all the languages of this country if it is necessary for our audience and the viewers that are actually following us on Teledal, the Fixo. Maybe when necessary, we can speak Mandinka or Mandinglish, or we speak Wolof or Wallish. Obviously, we will have a discussion, and basically we are talking to the Gambians. Today in the studio, we have a veteran journalist, former Minister of Information, the Gambia, of course, a mentor to many people in the media fraternity today, Demba Ali Jao. Obviously, Mr. Jao, we do welcome you to the show, The Fix. And in my left hand here, we've got Dr. Lamin Mane, an executive member of the United Democratic Party, and also a very well known when it comes to not only criticize, but constructive criticisms. And then we hope to hear solutions from him as well in a way forward that will lead this country to the next level. And I'm going to start with my right hand here, DA. This is the first time we invite you to Teledal and to The Fix. So we are looking at what's happening in the country, and we would like you to take this opportunity to reintroduce yourself a little bit, because I know I've just said a little bit at the peripheral of who you are and things you have done, and obviously you might have a lot of history, and looking at how we get here, how do we get here as Gambia democratically, how do we get here as far as the media fraternity is concerned, what are some of the things that you would like to say at your introductory level? And once again, we do welcome you on the platform, The Fix.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. I'm definitely very, very happy to appear on your show. Actually, I've been watching the show online as well, so I'm not a complete stranger as far as the show is concerned, even though this is my first time appearing on this show. Well, I think having Teledal on the media scene is a plus to this country as well, because, the more media we have, the better, so that people will have the choice as to, which of the media houses they can watch or listen to and other things. I think it's important, and as you say, the media has gone a very, very long way. The media has definitely gone quite a long way, in reaching where we are today, because, as you know, just a few years back, we had only Radio Gambia, as a media house, and then suddenly today we have, I understand, over 30 FM stations, and then we've got 5 television stations and a lot of online TV and radio as well. So I think this is definitely we've gone quite a long way. And the Gambian media are definitely playing a very, very important, crucial role as far as democratization of the country is concerned. I mean, definitely without the media, there would not have been any democracy in this country, because we all know the positive role that the media has played in getting us where we are today. I mean, we can all recall what happened under the Jammeh regime, when the media was, kind of seriously muscled. And in fact, over at least about half of Gambian journalists left the country, going abroad on self-imposed exile, and because the atmosphere was very, very, very bad. Even those who are left in the country had to kind of practice self-censorship, because, they were afraid to actually say a lot of things, criticize the government or do a lot of other things, because, you would never know. Several media houses have been closed down arbitrarily in this country. Mm-hmm. Journalists have been detained, just for speaking their minds. So, it was a difficult situation, but thank God the situation has definitely improved. And with Teledal and other, media houses in this country, I think, we definitely have a lot to thank for.
Thank you very much, DA. I believe, obviously, as a veteran journalist, there's a lot that you could share with us. And as far as you've actually lived generation of the era of Jammeh, before Jammeh, and post-Jammeh. I'm going to shift a little bit towards, Dr. Lamin Mane. Dr. Mane, we've heard you on the media. You've actually gone out to speak your mind. You've actually, I watched you on the radio. I've listened to some of the things that you've talking about at the media. Of course, on some radio stations that a lot of people do listen to. Dr. Mane, is politics the problem of this country, or is it the people that execute political agenda the problem of this country?
I think it's rather more the people who are coming into the political sphere. That's the problem. Because people will say politics is dirty. No, politics is not dirty. It's the dirty people who get into politics that create the difficulties. But by and large, most of the people in the political sphere are very good, decent people who are talking about what we want to see this country become. Because the basic thing is we are all fighting for a better Gambia. And that is what unites us. How we go about it might be different. My view of how we get there may be different from that of DA or somebody else. But the objective is we all want to get to a better Gambia. So politics is not the problem, because politics is how do we develop our country. Even the origin of the word politics from Greek. It's the affairs of the city. That's what we do. How do we do to develop our country? And we cannot do that. Like they say in Wolof, so you have to be in politics. Politics is everybody's business, and everybody's business is politics. So we all have to get involved, one way or the other, fight for it, and fight for the country, and see what do we do to make this place better for all of us and for our children. That's why we are all into politics. I'm a retired international civil servant. I don't need to go into politics. But when I came back and saw what was happening, I said I can just stay away on the sideline and just have my, good retirement. And no, it doesn't happen that way. The country gave a lot to me, and I need to give back to this country. That's how I got into politics, because I think that there is a lot we all should do to make it a better place for everybody.
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Mane. Obviously, DA, you had a stance at one point in time when you were a Minister of Information. Then you left the ministerial position. Then you wrote a book that went viral. Have your position changed now, or does your position still remain as a critic of the government of the Gambia?
I wouldn't call myself a critic of the government. Actually, I agree that I'm a critic. I've been criticizing since the time of the Jawara era, because I've suffered a lot, because of the stand. In fact, if you recall, I was even dismissed when Amadou Samba took the Observer, again because of what I was writing.
You were saying.
And a lot of other things. I was retrenched from the GUC, when I used to work there. We were there together. Of course. And again, it was as a result of what I was writing, because I was always critical of certain things.
Would I call you a protester?
Well, not necessarily a protester, but when I see things, are not going right, I definitely cannot keep quiet. That is my, it's my nature. I'm a critic. I agree. I'm a critic. I'm not criticizing this government because of this government or whatever, but I have been criticizing all along, since the time of the Jawara era. So it's not a question of that I have something against President Barrow or his government or anybody else. It's just that, when I see things not going right, honestly, I can't keep quiet. That's what makes me a critic.
So you have not changed from your stance?
No, I can assure you I have not changed. In fact, when I was in government, I was in a very difficult situation. I used to see a lot of things within government, but you cannot be in government and criticizing what is going on in government, because as they say, government is a collective responsibility. Even if you go to cabinet and you are, very much against a particular issue, when everybody agrees on that issue, you have to fall in line. That is government. It's a collective responsibility. So, so when I got out of government, I felt so comfortable, because here then I was free to criticize anything that I see which is not quite right. But while I was in government, I was very much constrained. So that's the situation.
Okay. But you still stand as DA?
Oh, yeah.
Now, Dr. Mane, being a member of the executive of the UDP, do we see UDP still being like a key decision maker, or people are saying there's no UDP anymore? We've dissolved, the executive have resigned, people have left. In fact, UDP can never they cannot be the kingmakers anymore of this. Of course, we've seen other political parties coming on board. What do you describe of the party that you are part of?
I think there's a lot of wishful thinking in that, because UDP is still UDP and getting stronger by the day. So those who say UDP has dissolved or whatever, I think that's wishful thinking. We had a handful of people who left. All in all, put together from the beginning to now, I don't think we have 40 people who left the party. And the same week they started leaving, 60 people joined the party from NPP and APRC. And more people have been joining.
We have proofs of this, right? People leave other parties to come to UDP.
Oh, yeah. When they left, actually, we welcomed them at the Manjai Bureau. We held a ceremony for them, introduced them to the party and the party leader. About 60 people joined that day. That was the week they started resigning from the executive. And those people which have joined, and more people are joining. I think in a week or two, we have about 400 people joining in as well. You'll see when the time comes.
We are saying that in the next few weeks to come, we're seeing over 400 people that will join.
That's already been finalized. We had meetings with them. Some of our executives met with them. And they will be joining the party officially in about a week or so. But all of this is in the work, in the offing, and there are many more that's happening. Some of the people, we don't talk about it because some of them would come say, oh no, don't mention it because we get harassed. People come here all the time and try to bring us back to wherever we left from. So we keep quiet about it. If you talk about that, it's like, they're just making it up. But we know what's happening on the ground because we are present on the ground. We're doing a lot of grassroots campaigning. And it's all the more easy since the Gambians are suffering. So it's not easy, it's not difficult to connect with them. They know what we're talking about. They see what is going on. So when you talk to them about the hardships of the country, they say, forget about that, we are living it. So it's easy to talk about them, talk about that, and we're doing that. You see, we are not critical for the sake of being critical. We are critical because a number of things that are going wrong in this country that need to be fixed. Your program, they fix. They need to be fixed. But I think we got to a point, we're probably getting past fixing point. We're getting to the overhaul point. We have to have a real overhaul, a system change to be able to get rid of some of these things. When you have one or two things broken, you can fix it. When you've got so many things broken in this country, we are past the fixed point. But yes, UDP is getting stronger. UDP has reorganized. The people who left last weekend, we held an election by the Central Committee met. Right. And we elected new people to fill those positions. So the team is complete again. We had 7 people from the National Executive who resigned. When we advertised the positions, we had about 40 people who applied. And we elected the 7 who were to replace them. And the party is... Now,
Dr. Mane, I'm going to ask you this question. The same question you might answer, because for some reason, at one point in time, the nation saw you as a member of the UDP. A lot of people talked about this. Now, the same question will apply to both of you. We've got Usainu Dabo, who've come on media and said that he never he never gave, Talib the promise that he will give him the flag bearer, but he is open to a coalition. There are some statements I personally have done, and some people thought I was mad. The question I'm asking is, what are the chances of a coalition whereby UDP will come together with the movement that is set up with Talib Bensouda's leadership? As a matter of fact, some people are even saying, including myself, whatever is happening in Talib's camp is a decision coming from the UDP, because you guys are together, and what are the chances of this happening?
Everything is possible in politics, but I think the chances for that are very slim. Because they precisely left the UDP. They said they didn't like what's happening in the UDP.
But these were loyalists of the Usainu Dabo, loyalists of UDP.
Absolutely.
You're talking about in the likes of Ibrahim Adiba, Karafa Sonko, campaign manager. You're talking about the likes of Tombong Sedi. I mean, these are people that were part and parcel of the national executive. So if you are to move the cream de la cream of the party, are we still saying that you are telling them, go to Talib, we are coming, or go to Talib, we'll call you?
No, actually, we didn't move anybody out. They moved out, okay? And I don't think you can call them the creme de la creme, no. The creme de la creme is still in the party. The national executive is 60 people, 65 actually to be precise. And we have 5 people left who left from that group. The creme de la creme is still in the UDP. And what is even more interesting is that those who came to replace them are at least as competent, as qualified as them. So that is very good. Those who left, we asked them, why did you leave? And what they said is they could not live with the selection of the UDP flag bearer, which is kind of weird, because we're all fighting for a democracy. And a democracy is the choice by the people for the people. We went for a selection of a flag bearer, and the people spoke, the UDP faithful. And they selected a flag bearer, and you tell me we cannot go with that, so we're leaving. That, in a way, is calling into question your democratic credentials. So if you leave because you don't believe in that, and you want to come back, I think you'll have to tell us what's happening here. Are you going back, reneging on what you said? Are you coming back to a more sensible position, which we hope they will? But I don't see how they can come back and say, we left you because we said we didn't believe in what you do, we don't believe in your flag bearer and your positions, and we thought your ways are not right, but now we're going to come back and have a coalition with you. It's going to be difficult, but I hope it's possible. I'm hoping it's possible.
Well, we hope some changes will occur. DA, you've been heard of saying, making a statement that if Usainu Dabo failed to join the political atmosphere, that could be very much detrimental to the politics of this country. Something of that nature. I'm still asking, if the same question I asked Dr. Mane, knowing you know UDP, are you still, were you part of them? Was that just a myth? Or what's your stance when it comes to the observation of the political atmosphere as far as Barrow administration, Talib Bensouda's movement, UDP as a party, in as much as we don't like to accept it, but UDP have been a very good political university of this country. A lot of parties emanate from them.
Anyway, thank you. Probably it's an opportunity for me to clarify that I've never been a member of the UDP or any other political party. Maybe the only party probably I could be associated with at one time was DOI. I was a founder member of DOI. I was sitting right there at that Congress where the party was founded. In fact, I was the one who designed their flag. But immediately after that, I thought that I couldn't be as a journalist and a critic as well. If I become a member of a party, I was going to constrain my independence in writing, because in fact, I can assure you that after I left the government, several parties approached me. They wanted me to be part of that. But I explained to them, I cannot be a member of any political party, because then I'll be constrained in what I write. I cannot be a member of a party and criticizing that party, what they do and all that. So I want to be as independent as possible so that I can criticize anything that I see which is not going right. That is my position. I'm not a member of any political party, and I don't intend to join any political party whatsoever.
What is the problem of the political atmosphere today? What is wrong with our democracy? What is wrong with the economic movement? What is wrong? Are we entirely wrong as a nation?
No, I don't think. I mean, as a nation, we are not wrong. I think we're trying our level best to do what is necessary to do. Of course, there are a lot of problems. I mean,
you want to name some of them so that we can list?
Of course, I mean, our democratization. I mean, road is not as smooth as we would have wanted it to. There was an opportunity in 2016, 2017 when there was this change, from the dictatorship to what we said. That was the reason why Coalition 2016 insisted, got the promise from President Adama Barrow that he was going to serve a transition of 3 years. The objective was actually to level the playing field so that, we can start from there and then carry on.
So it would be wrong to say 3 years would have been accepted?
Well, of course, it was accepted by him, by everybody within the coalition. In fact, most people voted for him on that promise that he was going to serve a transition of 3 years, so that the political playing field would be level for everybody to come on board. But unfortunately, he reneged on that promise. So that is at least one fault in our democratization, road. If it had happened, I'm sure
but they still voted for him the next term. Gambians still voted for him. Yeah,
of course. There's no doubt about that. Of course, Gambians voted for him, and he's the president of the country. But I can assure you, in 2016, some people voted for him because of that promise, hoping that this is an opportunity for the Gambia. Probably when he came and then he decided to go for to continue for the 5 years and go for a second term. He convinced some people, and they voted for him, and he became the president. But definitely, there are a lot of things which are not what Gambians anticipated in 2016 when they came out in the hot sun to vote for the coalition 2016. A lot of things were supposed to have happened, but they didn't happen, or the way they happened was not correct. Like, for example, the promise was the Gambians would be given a constitution, but we've all seen what has happened. The first draft constitution, it was definitely orchestrated from State House, to vote it out. And that was it. Right. Everybody knew about that. So, you cannot blame anybody else that we don't have a constitution up to this day. But the government definitely is, most of the fault actually came from the executive as well, because certain clauses of the draft constitution they didn't like, and they made sure that, it didn't see
those
the light
were ejected out of it.
Of course.
That's right. Dr. Mane, Coalition 2016, Hussein was part of it. We've also seen the country whereby we had coalition members. Yes, Usainu, as a key party leader, was definitely prominent in the decision-making of the coalition. Have they failed us as a coalition, or have they failed us because Usainu Dabo is no more there?
No, I think the failure was on Barrow and nobody else, because he was the president. Right?
He's still the president.
No, I'm talking of the coalition. The coalition started.
Right, I was the flag bearer of the coalition at the time.
Right. Yes. So when the coalition started, he came in as the president, as an independent candidate, originally from UDP, but he contested as an independent candidate, and he won the elections. Or rather, the coalition won the elections with the promise, as DA just mentioned, of a 3-year period of transition. And then we level the playing field, and then everybody goes out to do what's required. That didn't happen. And we all heard him say that in 2017, Fabakary Tombonjata and Sirin Jai came to see him and tell him, you have to jettison the UDP guys so I can work with you. So from then on, he was working towards jettisoning them off so that he can do what he wanted. And that was the beginning of the problems for the coalition. And there were, of course, other things, which stem from that. The lack of the reforms. The reforms, they didn't even stall, but they just didn't start.
Like the security reform?
Security sector reform.
I think that's still on.
Judiciary, it's not on, it's not even started.
Okay.
The security sector reform was supposed to have taken place. The judiciary, transitional justice was supposed to have happened, didn't happen. The constitution, we were supposed to have a new constitution. It didn't happen. And we know why. DA just mentioned it. After spending $116 million on the constitution, he threw it out. And that was a very good constitution.
That is the first draft.
The final draft.
All right.
The final draft, because that went through a comprehensive consultation process. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. After it was drafted, we went to the country, we consulted everybody, the religious leaders, the political leaders, the civil society, everybody. And then went abroad to consult even the diaspora, because they are Gambians as well. came back, etc. So we went to a comprehensive review and, several stages, and then it was finalized. And we all thought, this is good, we can live with this. Nothing is perfect. No human endeavor is perfect. There would be changes here and there. We can tweak it, and every now and then, you see the American Constitution over 2.5 centuries, almost 2.5 centuries now, but they have amendments which come in every now and then, but very few. So we could have had the same thing. We could have a constitution that would work for the country, and then we amend it as we go along, as and when necessary. That would have laid the foundation for a third republic, foundation for a much more vibrant democracy. But he didn't want that. He started wanting to take us back to an autocracy. When you look at the 2024 draft, it's worse than the 1997 constitution. So of course we couldn't agree.
There are two drafts, I understand. There was a draft earlier and a draft later.
For 2024?
Yeah, 2024 was the last draft, I think.
Yeah, the 2020 draft was the CRC draft.
The CRC draft,
which was a very good draft.
Okay.
And if that's what everybody went for. The whole country supported that. That could have passed and would have had a very good constitution. You see, it's a constitution that curtailed the powers of the president. We don't want an imperial president. We don't want a president with too much power. You give anybody too much power, they will use it against you.
Right.
And that's what we're saying. Jammeh got to that stage. He took the power into his own hands and he just made it worse and then just did what he did to us.
Right.
So we said, no more of that. Okay? Never again slogan came from there.
Right.
We could have had a good constitution and move on. And the Inspector General of Police was going to be independent, right? He would have had the autonomy he needed to be able to function properly without having to look behind his back, am I going to be fired or not? The chief of defense staff would have been autonomous to a large extent, right? All the nominations into into ministerial positions would have been vetted by Parliament. What do we fear? The worst that could happen, we have very competent people being confirmed. Because if you take somebody who doesn't meet the standards to become a minister for a particular position, Parliament hopefully would vote him down. So you would look for people who are competent and qualified and take them to Parliament. So what we would have had very good ministers and who would be accountable to the people. That's what we wanted. We would have had a justice system where the Chief Justice would have had the same sort of autonomy, etc. And so a whole series of things which were there to curtail the powers of the president and make the country much more democratic.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lamin Mane. We are so grateful to have you on the platform today. Of course, we'll come back right after the break, discuss a little bit more, or you have one or two things before we go on break?
Yeah, just coming back to what you said at the beginning, UDP is open to coalitions. You mentioned that I didn't answer that question. We are very open to coalitions and we are having talks.
So there are chances you will have a coalition with Talib?
I want to move away from Talib, because we're talking about the Gambian political party. Talib is not even a political party yet.
Yeah, that's why I said
there are a lot of political parties which are out there and we're talking to them. And we could have a coalition, we're working towards that. And if later on Talib has his party and wants to join, he would be more than welcome to join. So we don't have any exclusive. There is nobody who is not welcome to join a coalition. What we want is to set up a coalition that will take away Adama Barrow from #1 Marina Parade and bring in a much more democratic government and a constitution that we deserve, and economic development that we deserve, and new political dispensation. That's what we're working towards. So everybody's included.
And you guys can go to any extent to ensure that you move back. Now, we'll take this short break and we'll be right back.
Within the limits of the law.
Within the limits of the law,
yes,
obviously.
Yes.
I'll ask you a similar question right when we come back from the break. We do thank our viewers and the followers on social media, people in the diaspora actually following us on this show. And we will just be back right after this break to continue on this very much interesting conversation. We'll be right back. Thank you very much, our viewers. We welcome you back on the Fixed Show that we have every Friday evening here at Teledal. And it has come to a point, Bohamne. Then I like to Dr. Mane on this question a little bit when I ask you this question. For just in politics, where is this going? Because if who come to soft, UDP is talking about coalition. And it has come to a slogan that one of the female leading political members in the in the country one time said, no single party will win election again in this country. It has to be within the realms of a coalition. Is that something that could be substantiated, or is it because the atmosphere of the politics that we live in would leave either UDP or NPP or other political parties? Because in as much as people are leaving UDP, some have just recently left NPP as well, in the likes of Keba Madi Bojang. I just want to hear your view on this.
Well, that is it's not strange in this country. You know, people have been moving from various parties.
So shifting allegiance is normal.
This has been going on. This is definitely normal. As Dr. Mane has just mentioned, these people left the UDP and others came to join the UDP. This has been happening in all the parties. You know, people have been crisscrossing. You know, we call them, cross-carpeting or whatever. It has been going on in this country since the dawn of politics in this country. So that is not something.
During Jawara, it happened?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I mean, it's been
like
happening,
who?
You know? I mean, you'll hear that people left UP, came to PPP, people left KIP. I mean, people like MC Cham and all the others actually decamped from
GPP.
They left parties and
Hassan Musa Kamara and all others were UP, and they later came to PPP. I mean, that has been going on for a very, very long time. And well, that's it. It's I don't know. I mean, like Dr. Mane said, it's important that coalitions are built. I mean, it is very unlikely that any single party can be able to dislodge Barrow because, well, he's got a lot of resources behind him. And, you know, we all know that many of these businessmen in this country are backing the NPP, you know, giving them all the money there, all the resources there.
Yeah, money?
So, yeah, money and, of course, all the other resources.
That's a bit of a serious one. People are giving money.
It's not a serious one. We all know that, you know, they've been funding.
You can substantiate this?
They've been funding them. We all know that. That is not...
that's an allegation still. If you can substantiate, that's fine.
I mean, I can assure you that various business entities in this country have been sponsoring the NPP.
In the likes of?
The NPP.
In the likes of?
You can name any one of them. Any of the business entities have been doing so. That is definitely not a wild allegation. That is an established fact. We all know that. I mean, this has been going on.
Are you talking about people that have good relationships with political parties like
this has been going on in this country.
CEO, other things like that?
This has been going on in this country.
Dr. Mane want to dilate on this because you're keeping your little mantra on the journalistic part of it, not to be a bit biased, but again, there are facts that could substantiate this. Could you kindly go in?
Look, there was a time we saw Barrow driving around in a four-wheel drive.
In town?
Instead was given to him by Kalilu Wage.
Okay.
Right? Remember that? That was what? He came around and said the houses in Mankamakunda that he built were built by some friends of his business people. He wouldn't name them. He said that here.
And even the NPP bureaus all over the place.
Exactly.
But don't you think the party has enough finance to do that?
It's not if where do they get the money from?
Well, the party militants, can that be?
But beyond that, no, they don't have that kind of money, of course not. But beyond that, it's not even the business people alone. Even government institutions are illegally funding NPP.
Like?
When we have NPP fundraising events, you have state institutions going to buy tables at NPP event.
When UDP have it, they don't?
Of course not.
Okay. When other parties have galas, they don't buy tables?
No, nobody does. If you buy, if an institution comes to buy a table in UDP, the managing director or whatever will be fired the same day. But when they go to NPP, they buy tables, diamond tables, gold tables, whatever.
That's a serious allegation, though.
It is not an allegation, it's a fact.
I mean, that was not an allegation. It has happened. Everybody was around.
They buy tables $50,000, $60,000, $100,000. That happens all the time. And we say it should not happen because they are using our tax dollars to fund NPP directly in the open. That should not happen. Business people who build those bureaus for the NPP are exactly doing the same thing. Look, Gambians seeing these things happen in the open. These are some of the reasons why they are so much against Barrow and his government, because they have entrenched corruption in the country at all levels.
That just takes us to the next level of this conversation, because it's a common slogan now: corruption, corruption, some of which can't be substantiated still, because you cannot say this is what happened between A and B and therefore it's called corruption. So we would like you to dialogue a little bit on this before I ask the same question to Demba Ali Jao.
If you take, for example, road construction in this country, right? We saw the Minister of Construction tell us that they put $150 million to build a 22-kilometer highway, Batil Harding. 22 kilometers, $150 million. That is $6.8 million per kilometer. The average for a road construction, a kilometer of highway, 6-lane, 3 on either side, the rule of the thumb is $1 million per kilometer.
Dr. Mane, can you just digress on that? Because you're making an allegation or trying to tell us what's happening when what they are budgeting for this road does not commensurate with the distance that they are covering.
Of course.
The arithmetic must be understood. That's what I want for a layman who's listening to this, because I may not understand.
When you build a highway, a kilometer of highway on average costs $1 million. Just like if you want to build a power station, electricity generation, a megawatt of power costs about $1 million. These are standard procedures and standard costs. Now, you tell me, you put $6.8 million in a kilometer of highway in the Gambia. Say, don't give me a break. Particularly when you saw that when that road was being built, they put a lot of backfill around the airport junction. There was not even gravel on this highway. There's no gravel. They just put backfill there and just came with the heavy earth-moving machines. And that's what we have. This road is substandard. And you tell me you put $6.8 million per kilometer. And then in addition to that, it's not even complete. You go get another $54 million to supplement it. That gives us $204 million to do a 22-kilometer road. That's $9.27 million per kilometer. Come on, man.
And it's not completed.
Do you subscribe to his same thing?
We are not dumb.
Are we saying?
Let me just finish on that. Because of that, they had the 50-kilometer OIC highways, secondary roads. And they said they put $1 million per kilometer on the OIC roads as well. The secondary roads, 50 kilometers, $50 million. No way. They didn't put $200,000 in any of those roads.
And you can substantiate that.
Of course we know it, and they know it. I had a debate with Ibrahim Asila on that on Coffee Time.
Right.
Because it's all not true. And he's telling, I said, bring the reports, show us the reports, show us the interim reports.
Do you know you have right to ask for those reports? You can as a citizen of this country.
Of course we asked.
But you can go to the public domain
When you go to the ATR, you can go for Access to Information Act. It allows us to do that. We have asked for several types of information. Mahdi Jobati has asked for so many. We have not had any. And these are all part of the dysfunctioning of this government. They set up these things, they don't apply the laws that they have voted themselves. They set up an anti-corruption commission. It took them 2 years to appoint the commissioners. They set up an SOE commission to oversee the SOEs. Nothing is functioning.
They are reprimanding some SOE institutions right now.
Like NAWEC?
GNPC, and a couple of others. They do look at this.
So
things.
what is the result?
The result is some of them have to lose part of their earnings.
Come on. Look, that is not the solution. You make them function. You see, this institution, you set performance contracts with the managers. You set, these are the targets you're going to achieve in this particular period of time. If you don't achieve them, there are consequences. You define SLAs, sorry for the abbreviation, service level agreements. These are the service level agreements we expect from you.
It's okay, we understand.
Yeah, no, I'm talking for the average viewer.
To understand.
For the average viewer, if I say SLA, they might say, what is he talking about? Service level agreements. These are the levels of service we expect from you in terms of delivery. So you've got to do that. So you have to do these things. And you sign those agreements with them. If they miss those targets, there are consequences. And you don't wait for them for the end of the year to say, oh, you've missed your target.
Right.
If you do it properly, every 3 months, you assess. Are we meeting the targets? Yeah. Are we meeting the targets? Are we behind targets? If we are behind, what is the reason? Is it funding? Is it staff capacity? You look at what's going wrong and you help them to adjust as we go along. If you do all of that and they cannot attain the targets, well, there must be consequences. These are the sort of things we're talking about. And it's the same thing. NAWEC received $447 million from 2017 to 2025.
$17 million.
$447 million pumped into NAWEC over an 8-9 year period. And we're still having all the electricity problems we're having. $447 million should have got us at least 400 megawatts capacity in this country. And by the government's admission, we need 97 megawatts to power the whole of the Gambia. I say I don't believe it. I think we need about 150 megawatts. But if we produce 400 megawatts and we need 150 megawatts, we can sell 250 megawatts minimum to our neighboring countries or to the West Africa power pool.
The grid, yes.
We have a West Africa power pool, right? We can sell the excess energy to them. That's foreign exchange coming to the country. And foreign exchange coming to the country will make the dalasi stronger. Our dalasi is depreciating a lot today because we have no more foreign exchange coming to this country. There is no real economy to back the dalasi. So the dalasi is depreciating constantly. So if we have that kind of arrangement where we produce power in excess of our needs and we export, we strengthen our dalasi. We improve the agricultural sector. We do import substitution. We don't import all the food we need to eat. We produce enough here, we consume and we sell the rest. We're bringing in foreign exchange. Again, strengthening the dalasi.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mane. I mean, that's quite insightful, and we are very much grateful to have you on the platform again, reminding our viewers that they are watching Teledal, and this is The Fix. So, DA, a lot of people do say that the laws that we make are the same laws that tie our hands behind our back. Are we putting good laws together? And if that is not the case, if you were to be brought on board and say you are looking at the picture of the government, what are the key areas that you would like to give your personal opinion, personal advice, something that would be of credit to improve the current situation of governing this country?
Yeah, of course, when it comes to laws, as you know, I mean, of course, we've got, no doubt, we've got some good books on our, I mean, laws, on our law books, in our law books, like the Constitution or something. Well, I mean, but the thing is, sometimes the application of the law is another way. I mean, whether there is the political will actually to carry out some of these, I mean, to apply these good laws in the way they should be applied.
Now we have an anti-corruption law. The act is
of course, we've got an anti-corruption law, but up to now, well, I understand they have, I mean, identified people to members of that commission, but the commission is not inaugurated yet. It's not functioning yet. I mean, how many years since the law was enacted? You know, I mean, up to now. So it appears that, honestly, I think the political will to fight corruption is a little bit lax. You know, it's not very much there. I think almost.
So if you were to advise the government today, what would be the main thing that you will tell them to do to improve the life and the livelihood of these Gambian citizens?
There are a lot of things they do. In the first place, they should, I mean, inaugurate the Anti-Corruption Commission and to ensure that they have, I mean, very level-headed people to heading that commission. Because it's one thing to appoint, you know, members of a commission, but are they going to be, you know, people who will resist the pressure coming from the government? I mean, we've seen what has happened at the Auditor General's office right now. You know, I mean, somebody was there who everybody hailed as doing his work, and then suddenly we heard that he has been appointed minister, and somebody has been appointed to take his place. So all these are manipulative issues that it shows that the government is not very much committed to actually, I mean, the political will to fight corruption is definitely not quite evident as far as this government is concerned. And, you know, those are the issues that people expect the government to, you know, to deal with, so that put competent people in places so that they can be able to do the work, you know, without any kind of being pressurized from above or something, you know.
But what would you tell to an auditor that has been accused of undermining government efforts? Because that's one of the things that came out to a point that at one point in time he had accepted the offer. Next he U-turned and said he's not accepting the offer. It created a lot of euphoria within the society, and people were saying so much about this Auditor General. It commensurate, and coincidentally there were other, of course, demonstrations that were coming up in the country. DA, come on, let's look at
But
this.
it doesn't make sense to say that the man has been undermining government efforts when you have already indicated that you have confidence in him to make him a minister. That is definitely, it's incompatible with...
What's your opinion on this, on the same thing?
As far as that issue is concerned, and again saying that he accepted and then later on
declined
on the acceptance, and it again doesn't make sense, because the thing is, acceptance in this particular case, you must write to say I've accepted before you can even announce.
They said he sent somebody, he decided to change his mind to call the man to come back.
I think this, I don't believe in those things.
You don't? What's your opinion on the same thing?
Same thing here, I don't believe it. At any rate...
Actually, they believe. Let me tell you this. This is what people are saying outside. Actually, somebody just commented and said, the auditor is a UDP. In fact, the lawyer was UDP. In fact, the people that were protesting, majority of them for the auditor, is because they are all UDP. When things happen, puff, he ran to J Dabo.
Be careful, the matter is before the courts, so let's be very measured in the way we
but this is what public is saying. We're just saying what...
We wear this as a badge of honor. Because anybody who does anything good in this country is UDP.
UDP, yeah, that's what
Come on.
D.A. Jawa is said to be UDP because he's writing some very good stuff. You probably will be labeled UDP one day because you're trying to fix the problems of the country. So anybody who does anything good is UDP.
Right.
We are happy about that, and we want all of those people to join us. But look, the Auditor General has a secured position. He is appointed for 9 years. During those 9 years, he cannot be removed unless 1, he resigns, 2, he's incapacitated, 3, he has been derelict in duty.
Yes.
If none of those things happen, you cannot remove him. They appointed him minister.
But even in that case, there is a process.
There is a process, because for making it short, because if he's incapacitated, you need to set up a medical board to determine that is he really incapacitated. If he committed a misdemeanor according to you and was derelict in duty, you have to set up a judicial review to be able to determine that he was derelict in duty, etc. So there are processes for all of that, and none of those processes was even started. But this is a guy who the president told us is extremely competent. That's why I'm appointing him minister.
Exactly.
Right? So which one is it? He is competent, and he was doing his job. The whole problem is because these guys did an audit for 21, 22, 23, which are very adverse to the government, and they didn't want those audit reports to come out. So they wanted to fire him to keep those audits, as Maki would say, ronchonchobi. They want to keep it under his elbow,
right?
So it doesn't come out. That's what he was trying to do, and the gentleman wouldn't play ball, because even if he had been appointed and he said, today I accept, and then tomorrow he said, no, I'm not comfortable with this, you should be able to respect his position. Because he is telling you, I am an auditor, that's what I'm competent in, I don't have what it takes to be a minister. You're setting me up for failure. Let me stay where I am. If you say he's competent, keep him there. But it's simply because they are trying to hide the audit reports, which were adverse to them. You remember when they appointed him, Karamba Ture had just left. And Karamba told them there are at least 8 people in the National Audit Office who have the qualifications, the skills, and the competence and the integrity to take over this position. I would recommend that you appoint one of them to take over and run this place. But they sideline all of those people and want to get Cisse from somewhere else.
Yes.
Because they think he would play ball. That's why they brought him, that he would do what they wanted. They wanted some guy who would be malleable. And he turned out to be a guy of integrity. So they had egg all over their face. Now they had to do something. Fire him, get somebody in there. So they appointed somebody in violation of our constitution.
Right.
Because it's a constitutional provision, remember?
Yes, it is.
In addition to a legislative provision, both of which have been violated. So you violate all of those to go appoint somebody in violation of those laws. So that person's appointment is already flawed. So if the Supreme Court today says that you should bring this person back because you violated the Constitution and the laws of the country, what do?
Now, yes, the matter is before the courts, but if you are Barrow and this is the situation of the country, what will you do?
Yeah, let him do the right thing. Definitely, as Dr. Mane has alluded to, the process was flawed in the very first place because the Constitution, there is a constitutional guarantee, for the Office of the Auditor General. And there is a process to remove the Auditor General. You just don't go and appoint him. In fact, this is not the first time this is happening. We remember in 2020, the governor of the central bank.
Exactly.
This is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
He was also appointed as Minister of Trade, and he refused to accept the position. He preferred to remain as governor. I don't know what has happened to that case, but this is not the first time Barrow has been doing such an error. At least he should have learned a lesson from that particular case, but he didn't. He just went ahead and did this thing as well. I think he should be very careful the way he manipulates some of these things,
We thank you very much, D.A. Jao, reminding our viewers that they are watching Teledal, and this is our Friday weekly show that we have here called The Fix. The security reform, which Dr. Mane had mentioned, it has come to our notice that we realize people are now complaining that we've got, prolonged stay of the economic. Is this prolongation deliberate or is necessary as of now? What do you think, Dr. Mane? Can we now say after these years, Gambia security force can now wholeheartedly look at what's happening? Because security reform is key, and I know it's been talked about, and after several years, I think we should be able to see how best we can, I don't know, what do you think?
For all intents and purposes, Barrow has mortgaged our sovereignty.
Mortgage?
Yeah. Yes, he has mortgaged our sovereignty. We do not control our army. Yes. We do not control our key security installations.
You just said they mortgage the country's security.
Right, our sovereignty.
Because we have...
Of sovereignty, because, look, army is one of the... is a key factor of our sovereignty. And if you outsource that to foreign countries, to foreign institutions, supranational body in this case, you have mortgaged our sovereignty. ECOMIC is controlling this country. When you go to the airport, it's Nigerian soldiers controlling it. You go to the port, it's Ghanaian soldiers controlling it. ECOMIC is the one guarding the president of the country. State House is under ECOMIC control. And you go to Kanila areas,
the Senegalese who are controlling the place.
Yeah, the Senegalese under ECOMIC.
Yeah.
Now, the problem I have personally, I will tell you this. It's not because of the show. It's not because you guys are sitting here. I want us to come up with solutions. You talk about the ferries. Obviously, when you cross the Barra, you see the Ghanaian soldiers.
Yeah.
I'm talking about this, the State House of the Gambia. When you are entering the State House, you see other different types of security. You have the Gambian security, which are the soldiers. You have the Senegalese security, which are also wearing the Senegalese military uniform. Yeah. But we also have others wearing khaki. Now, the people that take the data of the day-to-day activity commuters. So what are, the risk that we are putting in, data risk. You get in those writing, Dr. Mane, please, let's...
Not just the data. Our intelligence, military intelligence, is compromised because it's no longer in the hands of the Gambians. And Barrow is telling us, I don't trust our people to be able to handle this after 9 years in the State House. As a transitional measure, after Jammeh left, we could understand that. That should have been a year or two, and you transition out of that and make sure that you do the security reforms to make our army a much more Republican army that's going to take over. And our army actually is doing pretty well these days. You could have brought them in and make them take over the security of the country. That's what they are trained for, that's what they are paid for, and we have got very competent people out there. Why don't you trust them? Because he's doing the wrong things and he thinks there's going to be a coup d'etat. That's the whole behind the whole thing. Look, nobody in this country wants a coup d'etat.
Absolutely not.
Because that takes us back again years, and no, that's not what we want. We want a democratic dispensation in this country. And the best way to ensure that is to make the soldiers responsible Republican functionaries of the country. And I think they are. Bring in the security forces alongside them, the paramilitary, the police, etc. Get that thing working properly so that we have our own sovereignty in this country and we control our security, our military intelligence, everything. Today, our military intelligence is not in our hands. The military decisions are not taken by Gambians. The State House, which is the seat of power in the country, is managed by foreign soldiers. We have nothing against the Senegalese soldiers, but look, Senegal has just asked France to leave Senegal.
Yes.
They want their sovereignty, so they asked France to leave their country, which I applaud. Why would we be keeping foreign troops here in the country to run the economy, the defense of the country and the security? Why?
Thank you very much, Dr. Mane. You've made, do we stand a chance of risking data to other nations? They may have the opportunity of knowing the statistics of what's happening within this society, meaning the government, having the data of those that come and go. Data risk.
Well, of course, I mean, there are certain...
as an information officer, this is why I'm asking you this.
No, what I'm saying, I mean, there are certain areas, if you allow foreigners definitely to get to that area, I mean, you risk, I mean, losing some very important data, which is of national security interest to your country. I mean, recently, not quite long ago, we heard about maybe a Senegalese security officer who was accused of, stealing some food ration or something from the... I mean, what else? They could have stolen a lot of other things, not only food. So you see, that's the danger of allowing, non-Gambians to get into certain sensitive areas of the country. As far as I'm concerned, definitely, economics should have gone long ago. We don't need them here. There is no, situation that allows economic to continue, in this country, honestly. And the much hype about security sector reform, nobody sees it's happening. It doesn't seem to be taking shape at all. I mean, we've seen recently what the police have been doing, to people who come out protesting and other things. So it appears that not much has changed from the Yaya Jammeh days. This is exactly what the police have been doing to people, and they continue to doing that. So, it's unfortunate that the security sector reform that everybody had been talking about is definitely not taking the shape that we would love to take.
I wish this conversation would go longer than this. It's just 1 hour that we have. We are running out of time. Dr. Mane, looking at politics, looking at security, looking at agriculture, energy, and all these sectors, I just want you to give the people at the incumbency, meaning the people at the government corridors, give them your candid advice of what they should do to actually move this country forward. Give them an advice that if you were the one there making those decisions, this is how you would prefer, and this is how you think Gambians would really appreciate their movement. Take this opportunity, like 3-4 minutes, to basically go on this and actually use it as an exit point. And we do thank you so much for coming to The Fix, and we thank you so much to have you at Teledal. Obviously, you are, of course, an elderly statesman, well respected and well observed. People follow you in other areas. So the advices you give will go deep down to the generations. Obviously, those are running the affairs of the country, but also the youthful generation of this country. Of course, employment is one of these things that we are looking at. Just to give us the holistic advice at your start point, at your view at this point. And again, like I said, we thank you so much for having you.
Thank you very much, and I'll be more than happy to do that. In the first National Development Plan, we had a think tank that was set up, which could have brought on so many people, so many different competencies from everywhere, within the country and without, to be able to advise the government on so many different things to do. The advice I offer, from my point of view, I say it on media, so everybody can see it. But see, a few things we need to do in this country. One, I would start with agricultural sector. We are importing everything we eat in this country. We are spending over $200 million a year to import just rice and oil and sugar. That is about $14 billion every year. Why can't we do import substitution? Develop agricultural sector, get the equipment and the appliances we need to grow the agricultural sector, and we produce the food we need. Get improved machines, get improved seeds, fertilizers, irrigation, etc. We have the River Gambia. In 5 years, we can produce the rice and the food we need in this country and export the surplus with a serious government. And we would be saving $200 million a year minimum from the importation of those things, which we can invest in other sectors. That's one. If you do that, and you mechanize agriculture, and we can lift 50% minimum of the farming population out of poverty in the space of 5 years. Because when they produce 3-4 crops a year, and they sell them at the price at which they can sell them, sell a bag of rice. If you take 1 hectare of rice field, you can produce with Narika rice, you can produce 10 tons of rice per hectare. You sell the bag of rice of 50 kilograms, even at $1,000, you are making minimum $600,000.
Wow.
Per farmer, per crop. You have 3 crops in the year, he's making over $1 million a year. If any farmer produces over $1 million in a rice field, next year he will do 3, 4, 5 hectares.
Correct.
Lift them out of poverty. We sell the rest. So these are some of the areas we can look at. Agriculture is the foundation for any country's development. Our industries will be built on that. If we do that, we sustain our hotel industry. The food that we import, we don't need to import. We can source it from the agricultural sector, poultry, meat, vegetables, just fruits, just name it. We can create a market by linking those farmers with the hotel industry, with the restaurants, and they will produce the food here. We're importing everything from Senegal, from Holland. We import onions from Holland, for God's sake. We can produce all of that here. So we can use that as a basis for industrialization. We develop the energy sector. We don't need to buy more polluting generators. Get solar power plants. The Jambur solar power plant was negotiated by Hussein Dabo. This has a capacity of 30
Is that true?
Yeah.
That's what was,
Absolutely.
he negotiated that?
Yeah.
Okay.
This has a capacity of 30 megawatts. If you build another 4 of that in the country, that's 150 megawatts, clean energy. You don't buy any heavy fuel oil, which is extremely expensive, low maintenance costs, low inexistent pollution. We are there. Do more of that, you export the rest. The health sector, you build this health sector, you save so much money. They are spending $60 million every year for themselves to go get treatment abroad. Pump that into the health sector here. If the ministers and everybody are getting treated here, we will develop the health sector. But they are getting abroad. Education sector, make sure that we develop the public schools. We are all producers of the public schools. In our time, those who went to the private schools were those who couldn't get into the public schools. So education is the equalizer. Develop the education sector, we save our generation of kids. We do not have to go to the back where we create jobs, we create everything in this country. We can do it. These are some of the areas. To conclude, I know the time is very short. To conclude, we have a vibrant young population. 65% of the population is young. Create the industries that you need for them to grow. Centers of excellence, training centers, job incubators, ICT, and monetize, for example, today so many people are on YouTube. Monetize YouTube, and they make money out of it. And do so many. There are so many things we can do in this country to develop our youth and stop them going by the back way. We can do all of these things, but there are so many more things we can do in the economic sector, but the time doesn't allow me.
That's
right.
right.
I have 4 minutes. Yeah. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mane. For the same thing, DA, looking at all this, and you use it as an opportunity for an exit as we're running out of time.
Thank you. I agree with Dr. Mane here. I think if we get our act together, there are a lot of things that can be achieved, within this country. In agriculture, for instance, we've got so many projects in agriculture, which with a lot of funding from the World Bank and other places as well. But you will observe that, a majority of that amount goes into buying unnecessary things like vehicles, for example. Can you imagine? I mean, one of these days we've been hearing about a particular kind of vehicle, Prado, whatever, costing up to $5 million just for one vehicle. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Why do you have to spend all that money on such luxury items when the money could have gone into, helping in production and other things as well? That is the problem in this country. But definitely, we've got the potential. But unfortunately, the way things are being managed, that's where the problem is. And we only hope that the government would look at those things, revisit some of those things that they are doing right now, and then see how best they can be able to put, get our act together and do things in the proper way so that the ordinary people of this country can benefit from some of those billions and billions that are coming as assistance or grants or whatever to this country to help us. But I mean, it's sad that it is going in the wrong direction. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Demba Ali Jao. Thank you very much, Dr. Lamin Mane. It's been a very, of course, engaging conversation. We have here Teledal on our weekly Friday show, The Fix, and it's always a great pleasure to have you. I know that at some point you are constrained when you are given a position under the government or a particular position to run certain affairs of the country. You are UDP, and we look forward to seeing a day when the national executive of this country, meaning the presidency, can actually bring all of you guys together, your mentality, the ideas you have, the knowledge you can share, to bring it together on a platform for us to develop this country, moving from where we are to a position that the whole country will appreciate. So we thank our viewers for following us on our social media handles. We thank the operators and all the, of course, the camera crew, the operating team that are in the control room, and all of you that have made it up to come to this show here. Thank you very much, DA, and thank you very much once more, Dr. Lamin Mane, for coming to the Fix Show. We will be hoping to have you some other time, and we look forward to joining our viewers next episode of The Fix. Thank you very much.